is our founder, Isagenix founder, and master formulator. He has been contributing to the health and wellness industry with his master formulation since 1980. And we are so grateful to have you on the line. Good morning, Dad.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, and then the second individual that I have the opportunity to introduce to all of you is Mr. Peter Greenlaw. He's a double millionaire in Isagenix, one of our family's fantastic friends. He's such an amazing leader, hails from the great state of Colorado. Good morning, Peter, and welcome.
Good morning, Kirsty. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And last but certainly not least, Dr. Bill Andrews. Dr. Bill Andrews has actually joined forces with my dad last year. He's been working together with him. They've co-formulated productB. And Dr. Bill, he's been in the biotech industry for almost 30 years, with the last 15 years of this time being dedicated to lengthening the lifespan of adults. And of course, so we're excited to have him a part of our Isagenix family now. So good morning to you, Dr. Bill Andrews.
Well, good morning to you, and thank you very much for having me.
Okay, gentlemen, well, I'm so excited. Everybody's probably thinking, whoa, you know, good thing we tuned in. And I just have to say, let's go back to last year. How did this all begin that Dad and Bill met, Dr. Bill met? And Peter, let's actually have you start off with this question. How did this whole thing begin in the creation of productB, I should say?
Well, to be quite honest with you, it really happened by accident. A lady in my downline by the name of Robin Goldstein in Chicago showed me a DVD of Dr. Bill Andrews talking about telomeres, and I went, tele who? And anyway, as you know, Kirsty, I have delivered now in excess of 1,100 lectures really all over the world. And so I thought it would be really cool if somehow I could get a hold of Dr. Andrews simply to talk about his research, you know, never thinking there'd be any connection with, you know, Isagenix or anything like that. So over the course of more than a couple of months, I will have to say, Dr. Andrews and I are friends now, but it was one of the most frustrating experiences because I would call him, and he has this wonderful, I call him his gatekeeper that, you know, protects Dr. Bill from these, you know, crackpot people calling up, I guess. So, but it took me 2 or 3 months to get him on the phone literally for 5 minutes. And what I said to him, I said, look, Dr. Andrews, I'm so fascinated by your work. I said, I would give anything to be able to explain your, you know, your research in my lectures. And he said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, then, you know, why don't you fly out here to, you know, Reno, and I'll sort of brief you, you know, et cetera. So to make a long story short, I actually flew out to Reno and, you know, went into their lab, and Dr. Andrews was, you know, they wanted to educate me so I'd sound like I knew what I was talking about. And after about 15 minutes, I said, and Dr. Andrews will verify this, I said, Dr. Andrews, you have to stop. He said, what's wrong? I said, tell me this is science fiction. He said, no, Peter, this is not science fiction. This is real. Because many of you probably don't know this, but the motto to Dr. Andrews' company is we're going to cure aging or we're going to die trying. So anyway, I spent the whole day with him, and of course I was blown away. And it just happened I was delivering a lecture that night. So he goes, at the end I said, well, Dr. Andrews, you know, I'm giving a lecture. Maybe you want to see what I'm talking about. Why don't you come tonight? He says, oh, I'm way too busy for that. Now, keep in mind, Kirsty, at that point I'd done, you know, over 1,000 lectures. So 10 minutes before it starts, Dr. Andrews comes in, sits down, and it's the only time I've ever been nervous in 1,000 lectures. And afterwards he came up to me and he said, listen, I'm really fascinated by what you talked. I want to do a cleanse. Because Dr. Andrews, despite being an ultra-marathon runner, still had like 15 pounds around his middle that he wanted to lose. So anyway, he wanted to go on a cleanse. He went on a cleanse, and he ended up losing that weight in you know, after about a week. And he called me up. He says, okay, what in the world is in this stuff? And he starts asking me all these biotech questions. And I'm saying, whoa, this is way above my pay grade. I said, look, I'll attempt to get the man, the formulator, to put this on, you know, the thing. So then I call your dad, and I talked to your dad and said, you know, John, have you ever heard of telomeres? And he goes, what? I said, trust me, just go on the internet and look it up. And he says, okay, call me back in 15 or 20 minutes. So I call your dad back, and he answers the phone. He says, "Get that guy on the phone." And that's kind of how it went from there. So actually, I'm going to now really turn it over to your dad to sort of give his reaction to that phone call, and then how we kind of move forward from there, from that point, because that was really what started it. So John, why don't you take up the story from there?
Well, that call right there is going to change the world. Peter, I need to thank you again for the introduction and introducing me to Dr. Andrews. Truly, it's the most exciting research that I've ever been involved in. That's no joke. You know, I've been in the nutraceutical and wellness industry for over 30 years now, 31 years, and telomere research is by far absolutely the leading edge in not only anti-aging, but health in general. So let me just start by telling you, I was so excited to get Dr. Andrews on the phone. We met over the phone. We talked. We planned strategies. Dr. Andrews and his team of probably the most brilliant scientists that I've ever met. And by the way, Dr. Andrews is the leading researcher in telomeres. In discovering telomerase, the enzyme that actually protects or encaps the telomeres. But so I was just totally blown away, at having the opportunity to collaborate and work with Dr. Andrews and his team of scientists in their lab there in Reno. So, Peter, it's truly changing the world. We started screening some of the botanicals that I bring in from all over the world. I bring in different botanicals and substances, everything from mushrooms, from products from the ocean, from the highest mountaintops all over. I prepare them. I extract them. I have certain techniques to amplify the potency of different botanicals. And I prepare those and send them in to Dr. Andrews and his team of scientists for their very unique and very proprietary screening. And that's where it really all began. It was actually looking for nature's hidden secrets. So, Dr. Andrews, maybe you can continue on there and explain a little bit about telomeres and how you receive my samples and what occurs then.
Well, first, after listening to Peter, it sure sounds like I almost did a very good job of making this never happen.
Yes.
Peter was very persistent and focused on just getting my attention. Now, I'm really glad, and Peter didn't mention that I was actually on the same plane with him, because I was flying from Las Vegas to Reno at the time, returning from something, and I was actually sitting next to another telomere expert, and we were talking about telomeres the whole time. And apparently Peter was overhearing this whole conversation. As soon as we got off the plane, he comes running up to me and says, "Are you Bill Andrews?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And so just from then, just walking from there to baggage claim, I got to know Peter really well, and suddenly already started developing a lot of respect for him.
Well, that was the day, to clarify, that was the day we were going to meet, although we didn't realize we were on the same plane.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, with the way I do things around here, I probably completely forgot we were going to meet. I was going to get to work, look at my calendar, what's on my calendar today. And then I would have seen that you were going to be visiting. But then, he came, we met. I was very impressed with the guy. And so I started thinking, well, maybe I should go listen to his talk, just because maybe he could help my company by talking about my stuff, et cetera. That's one of the main reasons he came to visit to begin with. And I was just blown away during that lecture of his. It was so great. He demonstrated a tremendously great knowledge of like biochemistry and physical health and stuff. I really thought several times when people were asking him questions that he'd never be able to answer them, and I'd have to jump in and answer the questions for him. And he just answered them better than I could. I was super, super impressed. And so that probably made all the difference in the world, because that's what made me decide, okay, after hearing about all these products on the market, everybody claims you lose weight, everybody claims you get healthy, nothing ever really works. I thought, well, maybe I'll give one more product a try. And so I tried cleansing. I told Peter, after Peter's talk, I said, okay, I'm going to try cleansing beginning tomorrow morning. And I was, again, blown away. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how my running was not interfered with. It was actually enhanced. I couldn't believe that by running and burning energy, and I was actually burning the fat off it, so that the cleanse was doing something there to make it work. But it's just that everything started becoming very important to me. I put Peter at the top priority. I ended up meeting John through him, and that ended up blowing my mind again. But during the screening, one thing that I was always concerned about back then was that I thought there's no way a botanical could ever give us the activity we were looking for. I was a pharmaceutical scientist my entire life, so very familiar with having to go through the FDA process to get a drug on the market. And now we're talking about botanicals, and I thought, well, if a botanical is going to work, we'd already know about it. And to tell you the truth, we'd already screened like 1,000 botanicals from some other source, and so I wasn't very optimistic. But John sent us a bunch of samples. He sent us only 15 the first time, and we actually got a hit on number 11. I've mentioned this many times at I think 2 conferences. The scientists here were in shock. We got around the conference room table, called John. He didn't answer. We left him a voicemail message. He was very excited. Then he sent us another 15 samples, and we got another hit. And it's just, so it's been all uphill since then. And I guess we don't have a lot of time, so I should stop there.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. You know, first of all, I do not believe in coincidence. Dad, I know you can probably second that. This was truly meant to be, just how everybody was in place at the right time for this meeting. Peter, thank you for your persistence. And Dad, I mean, this is so amazing. So of course you guys started working together. You sent the first 15 samples or batches. 11 got a hit, but then there's been several more hits since then, correct?
Well, absolutely, Kirsty. And you know, I need to say, when I actually went to Sierra Sciences, to Dr. Andrews' lab in Reno, I was so impressed. That was mid-year last year in 2000.
John, it'll be a year, the week of July 3rd. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary.
Wow, yes, absolutely.
Because you were going to Alaska, remember? You were going, and you flew in, and we met, and it was right before the 4th of July.
Yeah, I was on my way to Alaska, Kirsty. You know, with our vacation, I flew into Reno, and boy, it was truly a great experience. I met absolutely, you know, the greatest scientists, and Dr. Andrews blew me away. And you know, his staff and team that he's trained over the years are absolutely the top researchers in telomere research. So anyway, I had a tour of the lab. I believe after, and this is right before we started screening these botanicals. And, you know, I believe they thought, man, who is this John Anderson, you know? You know, he thinks that maybe, you know, possibly some of his botanicals will, you know, actually show and demonstrate activity. But, you know, up to that point, I think had already screened like over 250,000 different, you know, chemicals, and including a lot of botanicals, as Dr. Andrews stated. So I believe I left there, and they were scratching their heads thinking, you know, this guy thinks he can make a little bit of a difference or impact. But, you know, we were very fortunate. You know, I very selectively chose, you know, some of the botanicals that over, you know, my 30 years of experience I thought could possibly induce activity. And sure enough, sample number 11 was a hit. We did receive in the next batch another hit. And today we have, you know, several different phytochemicals from botanicals that actually show and demonstrate telomere support. So that brings us, you know, up to date in actually the creation of product B. And of course, product B was the nickname. It was the secret code name for this future product that we were going to launch. Product B standing for literally $1 billion product, something that will truly change the world. And Kirsty, you know, as you know, I was in retirement before Isogenics. I came out of retirement because I really felt there were more things that I could contribute and really help in changing world health. And of course, we've helped literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not several million people, with the Isagenix cleansing system. And now, with those pillars of health, the pillars being dense nutrition, the nutritional shakes, ageless essentials, cleansing the body, and consuming ionic supreme, with adaptogenic effects and botanicals, rare botanicals, from all over the world. And now the fifth pillar of health, product B, is truly the most powerful system that anyone would ever want to include in their nutritional regime.
Oh my goodness. How exciting. You three gentlemen are just amazing. You're all three brilliant. And I know that you guys need to, you need to go. But so in wrapping up, for those people that are listening in that are already using Product B or will soon be using Product B, just kind of maybe in just a few words, how would you actually describe Product B to maybe, a brand new person that's just hearing about Isagenix and Product B for the first time?
Well, what I always talk about is who doesn't want to live healthier longer? That's my term that I use about it. And I just say that, look, there are three pillars that are, that exist that we know. One is you want to avoid the things that speed up aging. What are those? Toxicity, obesity, and stress. Secondly, you want to be able to support telomeres, meaning you want to sort of make the telomeres, even though you're still losing them, you want to make the ones you have left stronger. Well, that becomes our Ageless Essentials program. And then sort of the creme de la creme as farther advancement, way farther advancement in telomere support, of course, is Product B. That's part of this overall strategy, like your dad was saying about the pillars of health. But basically, what I tell people is I said, look, if you want to maximize your human potential, what does Isagenix deal with? Well, the first three, we know we've been dealing with that ever since your dad put this formula together with, obviously, toxicity, obesity, and stress. Then we've added the Ageless Essentials, and now sort of the creme de la creme is, Product B. And so it's part of an overall system of your life, a cleansing lifestyle that leads to living healthier longer. So, Dr. Andrews, if you would, could you just give why you're so excited about Product B in terms of telomere support based on, and I believe now you've screened over 300,000 compounds. Am I correct? Is that close?
Yes, and Product B is going to add more telomere support than all the other things that we already have. It's going to give us the maximum that's possible right now.
But we're so excited. Thank you so much, gentlemen, all three of you, for being on. I really, really just want to acknowledge your time. I just want to also acknowledge the fact that you guys, God has blessed you, all three of you, with amazing talents and gifts. And for you guys to have not let them go to waste, for you to have really contributed to mankind in the way that you have is truly, truly a blessing to all of us. So thank you so much to all three of you for everything that you've done for the company. Dad, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. And Bill, Dr. Bill, you're genius. And Peter, same to you. Absolute genius, all three of you. So thank you again for being with us this morning.